Hi guys, are you able to see me now? We're just making sure the servers are connecting.
Yes, it's connected now.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Okay, so, sorry about that. The servers at YouTube are always so much fun. We're gonna have a great class tonight, promise. Okay, woohoo! Couple of announcements before we get going. If you have a block at home, go ahead and grab it now, maybe one or two, doesn't really matter. It won't be completely necessary for the practice tonight. I will give you all sorts of modifications to work through tonight, but they're incredibly useful for enhancing the practice. So grab them if you've got them. If you don't, maybe just grab a couple of pillows or, I don't know, an old counting book that you can just kind of use to help prop yourself up if necessary. Don't worry about it if you don't. I got you covered. Other things. I have a playlist that I just put in the chats. If you would like to listen along tonight, I will let you know when to hit play. What else? Always feel free to listen to your own music, to your own breath. Find another playlist on Spotify, whatever you want to do, it's your practice. I want to thank the Albuquerque Museum for letting us practice yoga at the museum tonight and use some of their lovely, lovely art and for just hosting the whole practice. So again, thank you to the museum. Tonight we're going to be working on our lower back. So I am a yogi with low back pain because I have been sitting in sitting in a regular chair instead of an ergo chair during this pandemic, typing on my laptop at home for work, and it has taken a toll on my low back. So the last few weeks I've been spending a lot of time trying to figure out what I can do to improve some of that pain. So we're going to work on strengthening glutes, stretching the psoas muscles. And if anything kind of, hurts for you throughout this practice, any kind of nervy, angry, doesn't feel good pain, back off of it. Not necessary. We'll find some modifications, or you can just maybe not go as deep in the pose. Again, it's your practice. Make it your practice, okay? What else? Again, I'm not a doctor. I am not a physical therapist. I am just a yogi with back pain, and so that's kind of what we're playing with tonight. Again, if you're having any major pain back here, make sure you check with your doctor. That's what I'm doing. What else? We're going to work on Camel Pose tonight. So whether you love or hate Camel Pose, this class is definitely for you because I feel like we all have lots of emotions about camel. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry. I will let you know what that looks like when we're ready for it. All right. So if you would like to follow along with that playlist, why don't you pull it up? And I'm going to count down from 5 and tell you when to hit the play on go. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. All right. So we are going to start in a child's pose today. Your knees can be together or apart, whatever works best for you. Start to draw the chest down to the ground as you extend the arms long in front of you. Starting to drop the forehead down towards the mat, letting that ground just support you. If child's pose doesn't work for you as this beginning pose, as we get settled in, don't worry. You can take a seated position. You can lay down on your back. Again, make it your practice. Do what's going to work best for you. So as we get settled in here, let's let go of the day by taking some deep inhales and exhales. And start to let go of the last hour, the day, the week, the month, maybe even the year. We'll come into this present moment by using our breath, by focusing on those inhales and exhales. And then by starting to tune into the body. what feels good in this pose. Keep using the breath. Keep following the breath. And I'm going to leave you here just for a few moments. Again, if you need to shift, if you need to move, if you need to find a different pose, feel free. But as we start off with our practice, I wanted to talk a little bit about, learning how to forgive, especially ourselves. It's been a tough week, definitely for me, and I bet for many others that have joined us on this live stream. And I just kind of wanted to remind everybody that we can be pretty tough on ourselves. Sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes people judge us, and it's really hard to always step back and kind of look at the big picture, but then also to forgive ourselves. And our yoga mat is a really good place to practice that, especially as we're working through any pose that we find difficult or that challenges us. If we start to lose our balance, if we fall out of it, if we're in the middle of a yoga class and we drop a water bottle that clangs all over the place, those are those moments where we get to practice to forgive ourselves. And then we can take that back into the real world with us, and hopefully that practice that we've been doing on the mat helps us also do that forgiveness when it comes to something maybe a little bit bigger. So use this practice today to maybe experiment with that. If something challenges you, if something frustrates you, if it doesn't just click for you right away, I want you to play with that idea of understanding it, what triggered you, why do you feel that way, and then forgiveness, and let it go. All right. Take a couple of more deep breaths here. And let's find ourselves in a tabletop. So start to bring your shoulders over your wrists, your hips over your knees. And start to find some movements here, some just organic movements, maybe some cat-cow movements where you're dropping the belly, lifting the chest, or curling through the back, or maybe it's just moving the hips from left to right. Start to open up that spine, maybe circle the neck from left to right, and then switch directions. It doesn't have to look exactly like what I'm doing. It can be whatever you need it to be. All right, so from here, I want you to extend your right arm long in front of you. Turn the thumb up towards the sky, the pinky finger down towards the ground. Now extend the left leg long behind you, parallel with the mat, and point the toes for this for just a moment. Great. Pull the belly up. Really start to pull that belly button towards the spine to engage the core. And then I want you to drop the pinky finger down towards the ground as you drop the toes down to the ground. Just barely touch the mat, touch the floor, and then lift back up to parallel. From here, we're going to take the right arm out towards the right side, and the left leg is going to go out towards the left side for a little bit of a balancing challenge. And as you do this, flex that left foot and lift it just another inch higher. Good. Come back to center, and let's try that again. Tap the floor, extend to parallel. Take it out to the side. Lift a little bit higher, and back to center. Tap the floor, lift, to the side, lift the leg a little higher, back to center, and bring the right palm down to the ground, left knee down to the ground, tabletop. Good job. Let's try that on the other side. Left hand will extend long, turn the pinky down towards the ground, thumb up. Right leg parallel to the ground, pull the belly up. Great, great, good job. All right, from here I want you to tap the floor, lift to parallel, and out to the side. Good, lift a little higher, and back to center. Tap, bring it up, out to center. Bring it back, tap. One more time, lift, out. Lift that right leg just a little bit more. I know it's tough. Come back to center and drop the left hand down to the mat, right knee down to the ground. Good. All right, from here I want you to pull the right heel up towards the sky. As we do this, the right knee is bent and we're flexing the foot. Good. So from here, I want you to see if you can find some little pulses. We're just going to see if we can stamp the ceiling with our heel. And as we do this, it's not so much about the leg lifts as it is about seeing if you can engage the glutes with just a little bit of a squeeze. And let's keep pulsing here for another 5, 4, keep going, 3, 2, 1. Good, pull the right knee down to the ground, we'll switch out, take the left leg up, heel up towards the sky, good. And let's find those little pulses, those little squeezes. Keep going. Little tiny squeezes, little tiny movements. Good. And drop the left knee down to the ground. All right. From here, I want you to take that right leg back up, 90-degree angle with the knee bent. Good. And I want you to see if you can pull it in and connect it to the right elbow. Squeezing through the belly. Good. And then kick it out to parallel. Good. From here, bend it back to a 90-degree angle. And then lift the right knee out to the side. Lift, lift, lift. And as you do this, you might feel like you're leaning over to the left side. I want you to see if you can shift the weight evenly between the hands and then lift that right knee a little higher. Good. Drop the right knee back to center. Touch the elbow, pull it in. Good. Extend it long behind you. Good. Pull it back in, 90-degree angle. And then lift out to the right side. One more time, drop the right knee. Pull it into the elbow. Big exhale. Extend long, inhale. Exhale, pull it back to center. Inhale, lift out to the side. And drop the right knee down to the ground. All right, let's try this on the other side. So we'll lift the left knee up, 90-degree angle. Go ahead and bring the heel up towards the sky. Good. And big exhale, connect the knee to the left elbow. Extend long behind you. Pull the knees together underneath. And then extend out to the left side. Lift, lift, lift. And knees together. Knee to left elbow. Exhale. Inhale, extend long. Knees together. And out to the left side. Lift. Knees together. One last time. Pull it into the left elbow. Big exhale. Inhale, extend long. Knees together. And up to the left side. Lift, lift, lift. Drop the left knee down to the ground. Find a child's pose. Stretch out, stretch out. All right. Still checking in on this YouTube server thing, just making sure everything is working. Okay, I think we've got a couple more things to get us warmed up. So from our child's pose, I want you to just come onto your belly, extend your legs long behind you. I know, fancy yoga transition, right? And we're gonna take our arms and rest them at the top of the mat, just one on top of each other, kind of like pillows, right? And I want you to just watch me for just a moment before we get moving on this, because as we start to do this, I really want your forehead down on your arms like that pillow that we just talked about. So what we're gonna do is start to do some little tiny leg lifts. And as we do this, again, it's not so much about the leg lifting, because I know we can probably just do this. What I'm looking for more is just a little bit of that tiny little squeeze, just to activate the glutes, all right? So let's drop our foreheads down onto the arms, find that pillow, good job. And then take the right leg, start to lift by squeezing the right, and find those little pulses. And let's lift through this for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Drop the right leg, and let's switch it over to the left. Lift it up a little higher, squeeze, and let's pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and drop the left leg down. All right, one more move on our bellies. This one's gonna be fun, I promise. So I want you to pull the right knee up towards the belly as much as we can while we're still pressing down on those bellies. Good. All right, from here, I want you to see if you can do this also on the left side. So both of my knees are going to be bent, and then I'm gonna work on seeing if I can pull the soles of the feet to touch. So toes to heels touching. My feet will naturally lift off the ground as I do this. Now, I want your arms to still be in that pillow formation at the top of your mat. And what we're gonna end up doing is seeing if we can lift the knees away from the ground with that squeeze that we were just working on, okay? So even if you only get, a microcentimeter, if that's a real thing, a microcentimeter away from the floor, good work, all right? So drop your head down towards your arm pillows, and let's see if we can work on this. So squeeze, lift the knees, and drop. Squeeze, and drop. Let's do this for another 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. This is tough. 3, 2, you got this. One more lift at the top. Lift, and drop your legs. Extend long behind you. Good job. All right. Take the hands underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes. And I want you to see if you can move through a plank to a down dog. In our down dog, we're going to see if we can be slightly pigeon-toed here with our heels pointing out just ever so slightly, pressing into the fingertips, pressing into the knuckles, and just dropping our ears towards our biceps. As we do this, we'll naturally lift the hips up towards the sky and just let that heart melt down towards the ground. Good job with your down dog. Couple more breaths here, really settling into this pose, really checking in with the body to see what's going on, what feels good as we work through this stretch. And let's come up high onto our toes, lifting our heels away from the mat. Good, now bend through the knees, pulling the chest towards the thighs. So we're in a bear pose. I'm gonna leave you in this bear pose for just a few breaths, and as you do this, I want you to keep thinking about lifting the hips up towards the sky and pressing down through the fingertips and knuckles. Good, all right. I want you to start to roll the chest forward, bringing the shoulders over the wrists. Good. And now bend the knees, dropping the hips back, and then up. So it's like a big wheel, and we're back into our bear pose. And let's move through that a few more times. So driving the chest forward, shoulders over wrists, slight bend in the knees, press the hips down and back, and then back, up, 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 find that lift and roll it forward. One more time. Bending the knees, press it back, bear pose, good. Now look up at your fingertips, and you have the option to step or jump to the top of your mat. Good. Pulling the hands back by the hips, I want you to keep the knees bent, and maybe keep the chest towards the thighs, shifting the weight into the heels. Good. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, reaching those arms up overhead. And big exhale. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, swan dive down. Good. Inhale, half lift. And then exhale, your choice to step or jump back to a plank. Pulling the belly up, up, up towards the spine, finding a little bit of separation between the shoulder blades here as we press through the fingertips, and see if we can just lift the back a little higher. Good. Now drop the knees down to the ground. And from here, I want you to see if you can drop the chest and the chin towards the ground. So as we do this, our elbows are just squeezing in right by the ribs. Good. Now pull the chest through, up dog or cobra. So in our up dog, our knees are away from the ground, we're on the tops of our feet. And in our cobra, we're just connected with the ground. Again, your choice, your practice. Good, all right. Now from here, I want you to come down onto your belly, and then extend the arms out in front of you, coming onto the elbows. I'm gonna back up for just a second. So you might be able to see that a little better. Good. Okay, so shoulders right over elbows. So we're in our Sphinx pose, and I want you to start to look up, but don't drop your head too far back. We're not really looking for that neck extension that'll cause compression. We're actually just gonna look forward. And as we do this, I want you to press the tops of the feet down firmly into the mat. Good. And from here, I want you to start to squeeze your glutes. And I know I'm talking a lot about the glutes. I just want you to find little squeezes and pulses here with those glutes as I'm talking through this, and you're probably laughing at me at home, and that's totally cool. Why are we doing this? Well, strong glutes can really help relieve a lot of back pain issues. So we're gonna give it a try. We're gonna see what happens here. A couple more squeezes. I am doing this live on camera, I know. You're welcome. Couple more. Okay, good. From here, I actually just want you to take your hands right underneath your shoulders, tuck the toes, good. And then press up to the plank and back to a down dog. We've been here before. Now I just want you to maybe move those hips from left to right. A little bit of movement, good. Come up high on the toes, bend the knees, drawing the chest towards the thighs. Look up at your hands and step or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, I want you to drag the hands back and up by the hips as you bend through the knees. Chest towards the thighs, good. And then come up to a standing position, hands overhead, and big exhale. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, swan dive down. Inhale, half lift, hands to shin, pulling the crown of the head forward, forward, forward. And exhale, hands to mat, your choice, step or jump back to a plank. Good, good, pull the belly up, 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 up. And then drop the knees down to the ground, followed by the chest and the chin, pulling everything through, rising up to your cobra or your up dog, your choice. And then come back down onto your belly. Take the arms out to that Sphinx pose where we're on our elbows, shoulders right over our elbows. Press firmly through the tops of the feet. Shine just a moment. Find that lift. Good, and then hands underneath shoulders. Tuck the toes. Lift the hips. Down dog. Good. All right, come back down towards the knees. Find that tabletop for just a moment. And sweep the heels out to the sides. Drop the hips down to the ground. Fancy yoga transition. Extend your legs long in front of you. All right. So for the next part of this flow, again, I'm just checking in with our YouTube. We are going to extend the legs out towards the side. So I want you to roll over onto your right hip. And from here, keep the right bottom leg bent. Extend the left leg long. And you're going to use this right arm just to support your head, okay? So from here, take this left arm, fingertips down to the ground just for a little bit of support. And make sure that your hips are nice and stacked here. So as we go through these movements, let me just show you for a second. I'm going to lift my leg and squeeze my glutes. And often we might find ourselves, see how I just collapsed there? What we want to do is make sure those hips are in line and stacked, okay? So again, you can use this left arm for a little bit of stability and support as we go through this. Now go ahead and point that left toe and let's bring this up to, I don't know, about a 45-degree angle. And as you do this, I want you to engage the glutes. I know we're talking so much about our glutes tonight, right? And let's drop this down to a parallel and back lift. Drop and lift. For another 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you have to do another 8. Well, you don't have to, 7, but I'm going to keep doing it. 6, 5, 4, I hope you're still doing it. 3, I know you're still doing it. 2, I believe in you. Give me one more. Hold the thing at the top. Lift, 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 lift. Great. Now I want you to bring it back down to parallel and bend the knee. And I want you to see if you can connect it with that left elbow in front of the body. Whoa, look at that. Does it connect? Is it close? I hope it's close. Maybe it's not close. That's okay. It doesn't really matter. Extend the left leg long, nice and parallel. Good. And let's connect. Big exhale. Inhale, extend. Exhale, connect for 8, 7, 6. You like that? Exhale, 5. Really dramatic. 4, 3. I'm really just trying to distract you as we go through this. 2. One more, connect. Extend, good. We're not done yet. I want you to pretend that you have a paintbrush on that left foot, maybe between like the big toe and one of the other toes, right? And so you're like, paintbrush on the feet? Yeah, well, we're at an art museum. Of course it's a paintbrush on your feet. So anyway, take that left leg up to about a 45-degree angle. Cool. And we're gonna paint some big circles, right? So I want you to come forward with the toes, down, back, and up. And let's do this for another 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold at the top, and let's switch directions for 5. Big circles. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold at the top, top, top. I'm sure things are burning, but it's totally cool. You got this. And drop the left leg down. Take a little bit of a break. Good job. All right, let's come up to a seated position, switch sides. I really just need you on your left hip, whatever that looks like for you at home. And as we do this, the left leg will be bent for support. You're going to use your left arm underneath your head for some extra stability here. Good. We'll extend that right leg long parallel with the mat and make sure the hips are nice and stacked, and we can use these right fingertips for a little bit of stability and also to help with those moves that we're about to do in just a moment. All right, so let's lift that leg up to a 45-degree angle and squeeze and bring it down. And we'll do this for another 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and another 8. Because I love you, because I care about your backs, because I want you to have nice strong glutes. I lost count, so I don't know, let's do another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold up, and then bring it back down to parallel. I want you to bend that knee and see if you can pull it in towards the right elbow this time. Good, extend long. Big exhale, connect. Inhale, long. And let's do this for another 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, extend, extend. Don't drop that leg. Pick up the paintbrush with the right foot this time. Bring it up to that big 45-degree angle. And let's make those big circles from moving from front, down, and back. For 4. For another 3. See if maybe you can make your circle a little bit bigger if this is too easy. For 2. For 1, hold at the top, lift, 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 and let's switch directions for 5. For 4. For 3. For 2, I hope you guys like me tomorrow. For 1 more big circle, lift high at the top, squeeze, 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 and pull the leg in. Good job, believe me, I know how hard that is. All right, good news, we're gonna flow some more. So once you find that tabletop position, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, good. All right, so I think we're ready for a little bit more flow. So let's come up back to our down dog by lifting those hips high. We've done here before, right? Good. This time, let's take our right leg up towards the sky. Nice 3-legged dog. Pulling our belly in, toes are gonna point down towards the mat. Lovely, all right. And on your next exhale, I want you to step the right foot next to your thumb. And if you can't quite get there, drop your foot to the ground and then help yourself, just kind of lift it up with that right hand, bring it up a little higher. So we're in a runner's lunge now, okay? And just rock back and forth in this runner's lunge. Good. Now from here, I want you to just lift the chest up. Look forward, be proud here for just a moment. Nice. And then take the left hand down right next to the right foot. Great. And then take the right hand high, extend it up towards the sky. That rhymes. Yes, all right. You like my dad jokes tonight? Those are just for you. Okay, as we do this, I want you to see if you can get the shoulders to stack a little bit more by pulling the right hand back and then maybe looking up at that right thumb. Now press firmly through the right foot. See if you can really find some stability in the legs and trust yourself and see if maybe you can come up into a twist. That right arm is pulling back. We're standing tall here. And as we do this, see if maybe you can pull the right hip back just a little and then go a little bit deeper in that right knee and extend this left leg long. We want our heel over our toes. Beautiful twist. Bringing the right hand down, big circle, and then both hands high, crescent lunge. Now in our crescent lunge, this is actually a really good place for us to work on glute engagement. Now I want you to think about pulling this right heel back and the left toes forward. Now of course nothing is moving in this pose, but as I'm really engaging the legs to feel the engagement. Can you feel that in the body? Keep thinking about it. Good. All right. From here, I want you to see if you can bring this left elbow over the right thigh. Go ahead and hook it. And as we do this, press the right hand into the left hand and see if you can get the right elbow to stack directly over the left elbow. Pulling the right hip back. Good, maybe looking up towards the sky in this twist. Nice. If this is too much for you, feel free to maybe just start to work maybe on this twist, or maybe just bring this left arm down by the right ankle. A couple of modifications, good. Keep working through this twist for just another second. I know things are burning, I know. All right, good. Hands go high, crescent. Drop the left knee down to the ground, untuck the back toes. Good. Now, take your hands to prayer if that's available, or you can leave them separated. And as we do this, I want you to trace them back, 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 finding a little bit of a back bend. Lovely. Keep looking up at your hands. Breathe through this. And then bring your hands down towards the mat. All right. From here, this is where blocks can come in handy, but if you don't have them, totally cool. You grab my block. So if you need a little bit of height as we move through this next piece, have your block right next to your right foot and your left foot, framing on either side. I'm just going to show you with the one block because that's all I have tonight, okay? So what we're going to do is lift the left knee away from the mat, and we're on the tops of that left foot, okay? So if you have the blocks that can help you lift the chest forward to be proud in this pose, or if we don't have the blocks, we can also just stay high on the fingertips and see if we can work on this. Nice long stretch through that left leg. Keep looking forward. Good, drop the left knee down to the ground. Lift the hands up towards the sky and drop the right hand towards the hip. And then I want you to start to reach over towards the right side with that left arm. I know, all the sides. Maybe looking up at that left hand. And you should be getting a nice deep stretch on the left side body. All the way through the psoas, good. Let's bring both hands back to center. Drop them down towards the mat. Tuck the left toes, lift the left knee away from the mat. We're back in that runner's lunge. And you have the option of just stepping the right foot to meet the left, like so. Or if you would like to go into a triangle where you lift the right leg away from the mat, your choice. Either way, bend through those elbows, come on down, and rise up to your up dog or your cobra. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, down dog. Let's take some deep breaths here for 3, for 2, for 1. Great. Let's lift the left leg high with a big inhale. And then exhale, stepping the left foot by the left thumb. Good. Now I want you to look forward, be proud in this runner's lunge, and start to shift the weight back and forth. Top to bottom. Feeling a little bit more stable in this runner's lunge. And we'll take the right hand down to the ground, left arm will reach up high. Good. Now again, press firmly into the left foot, come up to a twist. Trust yourself through this. Pull that left shoulder back. Good. Find your crescent lunge, hands overhead. And think about pulling the heels, drawing them together to really engage the glutes. Lovely. Little bit of a twist by hooking the right elbow over the right thigh. Stacking, stacking, stacking the elbows on top of each other. Maybe turning the gaze up to the sky. Coming back to center. Crescent lunge. Drop the right knee down to the ground. Untuck the back toes. Good. Take the hands down to the ground. And again, if you want to use those blocks for this next piece, what we're going to do is take the right knee away from the mat, coming onto the top of the right foot, pulling the chest forward. Look forward, look forward. Deep inhales and exhales. And drop the right knee down to the ground. Take the hands back up overhead. Now you can bring your hands to prayer, you can bring them apart, but start to play with a back bend by drawing those hands back and pulling the chest through. Take the left hand down by the left hip and start to reach over towards the left side with that right arm. Maybe turning your gaze up, up, up towards the hand. Good. Let's come back to center. Hands down to the mat, maybe move those blocks out of the way. Tuck the right toes, lift the right knee away, back to runner's lunge, and then bring the left foot to meet the right or trianga, your choice. Bending the elbows, chaturanga, rise up to up dog, and press back to down dog. Deep breaths here. All right. Let's drop the knees down to the ground. Sweep those feet off to the side again. Drop the hips. Fancy yoga transition. We've been here before. All right, so we're essentially on our butts right now. And I want you to roll all the way down to your back. Good. So we're going to start to play with the bridge pose for just a moment. So to get ready for this bridge pose, I want you to reach your arms high up towards the sky. Spread the fingertips nice and wide. Good. Now pull the elbows down into the mat right next to the ribs. And from here, I want you to press the elbows firmly into the ground. And without lifting the hips or the low back, I want you to see if maybe you could start to puff the chest up, up, up. Maybe it only moves just a centimeter. That's all we're looking for. Really just so you can see, I can maybe fit a fist underneath me at this point as I'm going through this. And drop the chest down. Let's move into our bridge pose from here so you can bring the hands down to the mat, palms face down. And lift the hips up towards the sky. Maybe tucking the shoulders underneath us for a little bit more lift. And we'll breathe through this for 3, for 2, for 1. Good. Now untuck the shoulders. And we're going to find some movement for this. So I want you to drop the hips and then lift them back up. And we're going to keep moving through this for 8, for 7. And as you do this, don't forget about that squeeze. Now, some yoga teachers might tell you that when we're working on things like this, that maybe the glutes should be relaxed. And here's the deal. If you are having back pain, experiment with it. See what's going to work well with your body. Again, I'm distracting you as we're working through this, but what can happen with some of these back bends, whether it's camel or wheel or bridge, squeezing the glutes actually might relieve some compression for you in the low back, especially if you have things going on with your psoas. So give it a try. So as we work through our camel today, I'll give you that option to decide to squeeze or not to squeeze. Again, it's your practice. You get to choose, right? Okay, let's drop the hips down to the ground. That was a lot of work, I know. And from here, I want you to take the knees out towards the sides, kind of setting up for a butterfly pose, where you pull the feet together, soles of the feet really pressing firmly together here from toes to heels. Good. And from here, take your hands back down to the ground, engaging the palms. Good. And from here, I want you to lift the hips high. Give it a try. Squeeze. Yeah, just like that. You may not get very far up. That's okay. It's just about trying. And we'll do this for another 7, 6, squeeze, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold at the top. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And drop the hips down to the ground, pulling the knees back together. Good job, I know. Okay, we're going to move into a reverse tabletop from here. So take your hands behind your hips. And I want your fingertips pointing towards your hips here. Good. Now lift the hips high. Reverse tabletop. There you go. And from here, I want you to see if you can come onto your heels. You're going to lift the toes away from the mat. Good. Now drop the hips down to the ground and lift them back up. Yeah, and we're gonna keep moving through this for 8, 7, and as you're doing this, I want you to think about pulling those heels back. Now, of course, they're not moving, we're just engaging as we do this. We're squeezing and squeezing as we do this. I lost count. I don't know, let's do another 3, 2, 1. Hold that reverse tabletop high and drop it down. Give yourself a nice big hug here. Good work. Okay, so I think that we might be ready to play with our camel. Okay, so if you have a block, that might be useful for you tonight. If you don't worry about it. I will give you some options. Now, one of the first things I usually tell people when they start working through camel is to try the whamel. And you're probably like, what? A whamel? Yeah, that's just wall and camel put together. Whamel. So hopefully you guys can see this and I don't get in trouble for touching this part of the wall at the museum. But let's go for it. All right, so definitely won't touch the painting. You can just pull the knees up against a wall, get the hips close to a wall, maybe take your hands to the wall and start to lean back, opening up through the spine. And as you do this, be cautious about not pulling the head too far back. So often in camel, we start to see people just drop the head. And as we do this, you can see that causes a lot of compression and it's not so good for my neck and it doesn't feel so good. So instead, see if you can still kind of hold the head high without just dropping it back. Okay. I hope you got a good laugh out of that. Okay, so try that to see if you can keep the hips pressing into the wall. So we're not pressing too hard, but just enough to give us some stability. And we're learning on how to keep those hips just over our knees, all right? So the next piece, once you have felt more comfortable working through whamel, is to maybe put a block between your feet. I'm actually going to turn it out this way for a little bit more length. And so what we want to be working on is having our knees about 2 fist widths apart, like so. Let me turn this direction. Lovely. Okay. I'm going to use this block and squeeze it with my feet for a little bit more stability as I'm working on this. Now I have the option of taking my hands towards the low back. Fingertips can be pointed down. They can be pointed up. It's your practice again. And I'm going to keep those hips moving forward, not pressing too hard, but just enough for some stability. Start to lean my chest forward and drop my head back. And as you can hear, I am still talking without dropping my head back like that, so we're doing okay. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's enough to work on for you tonight. Totally cool. All right, but if you feel ready and you feel safe and you want to go to the next level, let's talk about what that could look like. So I'm going to have my hands on my low back. I'm going to start to open up through the chest. I'm really trying to have this happen right behind the heart, dropping back, and maybe I'm able to start to bring my hands down to the block. Now, if you need a little help, take the block up higher. Okay? Totally cool. I'm going to turn it back down to that low setting. And as I go through this, I want you to see if maybe you can start to connect your hands to your heels. And as you do this, take your thumbs to the outsides to open up through the shoulders. Keep pressing the hips forward, dropping the head back. And breathe. So, I'm going to also show you how to get out of this a little more safely, but what we're going to do now is I've shown you a bunch of options, right? Whether it's whamel, option 1, where we're just leaning back and starting to feel what it's like with the hands on the low back, or taking our hands maybe down to a block, or down to the ankles, okay? So we're all gonna work on this together. So why don't you choose your flavor of the pose for tonight? Get into it, see what feels comfortable. Again, choose to squeeze or not to squeeze with the glutes. Play with that a little bit. I'm going to have just an ever so slight squeeze because I need that for my low back. Lovely. Couple more breaths. Extend the right arm up towards the sky and start to come forward. Sit down, hips to heels. Take your hands to your thighs. Close your eyes. And breathe. So there's a lot of magic to be found in a camel pose, especially after the pose if we just find some stillness. Camel pose is a big heart opener. It's also a throat opener. All sorts of emotions can happen through it. Very common, but the peace that happens right after when we just take a seated position and close our eyes, it's quite magical. All right, so I'm actually going to have you go into a camel pose again. Let's try it one more time. Just humor me. So let's go up. Again, your choice. You can just have hands on low back and maybe start to go towards the ankles. And we'll hold this for 5 breaths, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. I'm going to take my hands to my low back this time. Come up slowly, find that seated position. Place my hands on my thighs, close my eyes. And take some deep breaths. Find that magic that we were just talking about. Okay, let's sweep our heels off to the side one more time and extend the legs long in front of us. And roll all the way down towards our backs. Good. So we're going to move into a little bit of a twist after that camel. So extend the left leg nice and long onto the mat. Good, and then start to pull the right leg up to a 90-degree angle. Now often we start to want to pull that knee right into the chest. That's not what we're working on in this pose just yet. Instead, I want you to keep that 90-degree angle. Good. Take the left hand over towards the right knee, and then drop the right knee over towards the side. Extend the right arm long, and see if you can keep that 90-degree angle so that you have some space in the low back. So when we start to pull the right knee up towards the chest, we lose that. So work on creating that space as you shift your gaze over towards the right hand. Deep breaths. And pull the right knee back to center. We'll switch out the legs. Left knee in, 90-degree angle, right leg extends. And then take the right hand over the left knee, drop it over towards the right side, extending the left arm long, looking over that left shoulder. Keep creating space through that low back. Deep breaths. And roll back to center. You can take whatever twists or turns your body is craving. Otherwise, we are ready for our Shavasana. So you can extend both legs nice and long, turning the feet out towards the sides, starting to let the low back just sink into the mat. Connect Connecting the tops of the hands down on the mat as we turn the palms up towards the sky. Couple more deep breaths here. And then maybe closing our eyes, settling in for this final pose. Feel the weight of the ankles sinking down into the ground. Feel supported by the mat, by the earth. Let the hips be heavy here. Focus on that low back for just a moment. Let it release any tension that it might be holding from the day, from the week, from the month. Tell it it's okay to relax and release. Move your attention to your shoulders. Deep breaths. Let the shoulders just melt down. Move your attention to your jaw. Maybe take a couple of big yawns here. And then move your attention to that little space between your eyebrows, your third eye. And give yourself permission to stay here in this pose as long as you need. Take this moment for you. Use the breath to become fully present in this moment. There are no to-do lists. There are no expectations here. You have permission to just be. You can stay here as long as you like during this Shavasana. It was my pleasure to lead you through your practice today. Namaste.